When I see people have children, I'm like, oh my God, that is so terrifying. Like, just... Hey guys, TazzyPhe here. How is it going? I made this podcasty type video a while back and you all really seemed to like it. The algorithm also really liked it. I know you did. And I feel like generally speaking, when I talk about marriage or relationships, you all seem to really enjoy that content. So now I've been married for over 2 years and I have new things to talk about. So here's another episode of Let's Get Deep about marriage. Actually, the other one was relationships. So maybe this one is number 1. Look, I got a new mug. I got many new mugs. I'm so excited to show you guys all of them, but just for today, this is the mushroom. Beautiful. So this one may not seem as cozy as the other one because I'm working on the background, but in this video, I am going to talk about things like having kids, the pressure to have kids, finances, in-laws, and even infidelity. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the relationship advice / insight / ramblings that nobody? Actually, some of you guys did ask for. Okay, I'm not gonna act like you guys don't ask me things. You do. So first topic, let's talk about the pressure to have children. I was warned that when you were getting married, and everyone's like, when are you getting married, Sneem? When are you getting married? That question was going to turn into, when are you going to have children? That was the pressure it was going to turn into after I got married. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm kind of surprised by myself because there have been elders, including my mama, who keep bringing up having kids, but somehow I'm not really affected by it. Maybe I'm lying, but it's because a lot of my close friends and a lot of people my age have children and everyone's like, oh my God, just enjoy your life just before they destroy it. And then there's all these people on TikTok dancing like dual income, no kids, and they're all excited about it. So it doesn't bother me that much when people ask when we're having children. I'm gonna tell you guys something. My family might get mad at me, but whatever. So I have 2 cats, right? And when you have cats, people assume that you're just a cat mom and you just want to have cats and that's it. Oh, how you so obsessed with me, girl, I wanna know. So I actually hid that we got cats from my dad because my dad one day was like, people who get married and they get cats, it's because they don't want kids. I literally hid from him that we got cats for like 2-3 months. I didn't tell him. And then he found out, someone told him because I didn't want him to think that we didn't want children. But anyway, yeah, right now it's not bothering me. When I see people have children, I'm like, oh my God, that is so terrifying. Like just how depressed and like everyone just talks about how difficult it is. And so that scares me. So I don't really have baby fever, but anyway, not that that's anybody's business, but I will say I can see situations where people really do feel the pressure and how it can be really painful. Because when I think of something like fertility, that's a different thing. I see a lot of people having fertility issues and it's something that's really painful for people to go through. And that's something that scares me because I know that as a woman, my biological clock is ticking. So, maybe those comments would bother me more if that's what I'm going through. And I know when, before I got married, the comments about me not being married bothered me more later on. But I'm also from a culture where the idea of planning for children is not a thing. So there's this concept of RISQ in Islam, which is sustenance. And Muslims believe that your RISQ is written for you. Like you won't get literally a drop of water more than what is provisioned for you from Allah. Like not more, not less. That concept plays into, when you have children also come with RISQ that's written for them. So this idea of like worrying about how you're going to pay for a child is not something that people are planning for, if that makes sense. So if I say to my parents, oh, I want to make sure that I'm in a good financial place before having kids, it's like, what do you mean? We didn't do that. It's like the older generation doesn't really think like that. Although financial literacy and planning are important, especially in marriage, which I'll get into in the next point of this video, I also don't discredit what older generation or what my parents say because, I don't believe that you should only have children if you have the means, because essentially what that's saying is only rich people should have children and only rich people are allowed to. And if like you're not rich and you had children, you're like a poor financial planner and like, shame you and all that kind of stuff. I just don't believe in that. Quick side note, not really a side note, but a segue. In the US in 2021, there were a couple things that changed in regards to supporting families and having children because it is hard for the working class and for people who don't make a lot of money, and especially for people who are in lower incomes. There actually are social programs to help families, but there's very little awareness about them. And the poverty rate actually fell radically in recent years. The child tax credit gave $3,000 to $3,600 to all working families, and the majority was sent to parents with young children. It actually kept 2.9 million children out of poverty. Stuff like that, where there's a partial wage replacement at key times, like the Paid Leave Act, for example. It improves the economic security of a family by providing a subsidy for leave that would otherwise be unpaid. And this increase in household income could improve the long-term stability of a family's finances. So it's a complicated thing, it's like there's culture, there's religion, there's what the government does, but the federal government is a player in that. And so they play a key role when it comes to economic stability for so many Americans. So when there's stigma around these social programs like the child tax credit or SNAP, that's not good. Accepting help is important. So if you need it, you should be able to get the help that you need. And I think we should continue to push for awareness for these kind of programs and really break down the stigmas around them, because it truly does take a village to raise a child. So next, let's talk about finances. Money is one of those very complex topics. Everybody has a different relationship with money and view of money. And that's all goes back to like how you're raised, what you saw growing up. I feel like the likelihood that you and your partner are going to have the exact same relationship and the exact same view of money is pretty low, because there's so many different ways to see money. But I think that as long as you guys have the data, that's what's important, because numbers don't lie. What's important is that you guys have similar goals, because if you don't, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a clash. It's going to be a So the goals and vision for your future is something that you should have somewhat of an idea of before you get married, or actually have an idea of. You guys should be organized and keep track of your spending, have some sort of a budget to understand your spending habits and whether it's aligning with your long-term goals. Because finances is one of those things that it breaks people. It's a big problem in relationships and it leads to divorce. So you shouldn't be afraid to talk about that kind of stuff. And my advice is to tackle those things early on and openly discuss it. Because I think sometimes we do come from cultures where like talking about money is seen as, for a lack of a better word, aib. I don't know what the Urdu word is. I don't know what the word is. But yeah, it's not like very good. But I think that kind of mindset keeps us from being financially literate, But anyway, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. But risk is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is written. But undoubtedly, we all do have risk. We all have our stuff that's written for us. That doesn't mean that you should just mismanage everything. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about your relationship with your in-laws. So when you get married, undoubtedly, your relationship with your in-laws is a huge thing. And it could go both ways. You could totally luck out, or you could be very, very unlucky. If you're unlucky, I don't have much advice for you other than understanding that your spouse should really be protecting you and keeping it real with you. Your husband or wife is the make or break in that situation. What I mean by that is that if you have problems, they should be managing that relationship. So if you're being wronged, they should be sticking up for you. And if you are being disrespectful or like whatever, they should be managing you. I kind of think of it from a perspective of like everything that I do, or like even if I'm in a bad mood one day or whatever it is, I always think back to like, how does Munir treat my family, and how would I want him to treat my family? How do I want this to be something that is going to come up like later on in our marriage? Like I think about it all. If you're in a really bad situation, I don't want to be like negative, but I really don't have advice, because man, I heard some crazy things, dude. But yeah, the boundaries have to be set by you and your spouse. If your spouse is not going to stand up for you, or vice versa, if you don't stand up for your spouse and you don't like help set boundaries, if things are bad, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. It might end. But I actually did some other videos with Yasmin Al-Hadi. So I think we talk about some of this stuff like in-laws and whatnot in other videos. So you guys can go check those out. I also had a couple podcast episodes with her. So you guys can check out the podcast as well. Now, if you luck out, or if you have like a medium average relationship, my advice / insight would really be to just try and put your best foot forward. And I always think about, going back to what I said earlier, I just like think about your family. How would you want your spouse to treat them? Are you being immature? Just try to be self-aware, And I'm not trying to be negative here. I feel like one thing is that there are always going to be limitations. Like no matter how close you get with your in-laws, they're still your in-laws, and you have to remember that. So this is like the Pakistani in me, maybe like, trained mind. I don't know. You can't be too free with people. You can be nice, you can be friendly, you can get as close as possible, but don't be too free, if you know what I mean. And maybe that's bad advice, but I think that you have to tread carefully sometimes, because otherwise it might become very messy. In-laws can be a blessing or a curse depending on how you handle them or how your spouse handles them. And to avoid any conflict, it really just is important to be aware of what the expectations are from your spouse, what the expectations are from your in-laws. Are they unreasonable? What are your expectations of people? Are you being unreasonable? And, trying to work with people's different personalities. You're going to meet people with so many different personalities. And I think it just requires a lot of emotional intelligence to handle all the different personalities, to not be offended easily and not to offend others. But I think it's also important to have a conversation with your partner. Like, just always talk to your partner. Communication is key. I've learned so much. I've learned so much about another culture. Like, me and my husband come from different cultures, kind of. Like, you guys are like, what? You guys are the same thing. No, not really. We definitely come from different cultures. I've learned a lot. Yeah. I've learned a lot, and I don't know if Munir's, I'm sure he's learned a lot too. Okay, now the last point that I wanted to touch on for this video is so random, but I wanted to talk about infidelity because I'm watching all these stupid shows like Love is Blind and Marriage. Don't watch those shows, first of all. They make you feel like doo-doo. It's horrible, dude. It's horrible. They're like, oh, let me come here and I'm going to leave you with other girls and I'm gonna go with some other guys and we'll see if we still have feelings for each other. What? Like, why would you okay, I shouldn't be watching those. First of all, I was watching one of these shows and I was thinking about infidelity because I think I was like Colleen and Matt. I think most people would see infidelity as this big threat, or this big thing that could shatter your relationship. But I had this epiphany lately, and maybe it's not that mind-blowing for some of you guys, but I always used to think that cheating was simply you're a shitty and insecure person who couldn't hold themselves, you couldn't control yourself, and so you cheated. I had this realization that I don't think that it's completely that. I don't think it's as much, how strong are you, or simply do you have a strong character to repel things? But I think it's do you have a character that allows you to be smart and strategic about your actions? And what I mean by that is, I think anybody is capable and vulnerable to cheating or becoming a cheater. But I think that the people who have the character that rises above or don't cheat, it's that they understand that they shouldn't put themselves in situations where they are vulnerable to that test. Don't put yourself in a position where you'd be alone with someone you're attracted to or have feelings for or kind of getting feelings for. Don't do that. And maybe you find yourself in a situation like that. You didn't purposely put it yourself there, but then you need to recognize, I got to escape this. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I just wanted to say anybody is vulnerable. That's what I wanted to say. Don't think you're so strong. I would never, don't put yourself in that situation or get yourself out of the situation. And then there are people who so evil, who are cheaters, and so they want to make sure that their partner is not in a position where the partner can cheat. So for example, I don't want you to work. I don't want you to work because I don't want you to be around other people of the opposite sex because then you'll cheat on me. But the whole time they were cheating. I'm not saying that I know people like this, but we'll just say maybe. But if you're thinking of cheating on your partner, it's important to understand what the signs are so you can identify if it's time to end things before they start. You know what I mean? But infidelity, I think, is a difficult topic to talk about, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed so that you can make the best decision for yourself and your partner. I feel like it's usually a sign of a deeper problem. Yes, it could be low self-esteem, or it could be depression. So I think it's important to remember that cheating is not the answer to your problems. It might make things worse. But anyway, I was going to talk about gender roles in this video, but you know what? I'd like to exit that conversation. I would see, there's the door. I'm going to go out that door. Goodbye. I don't want to do this anymore. All I'm going to say is whatever works for you, just do it. Don't listen to other people. So many people debating this are single, not even married, not in a relationship. But anyways, I hope you all enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments below what your guys' thoughts are and what your feelings are on any of the topics that I discussed. And let me know if there's any topics that you would like to see another part 3. You know, what are the things that you'd like me to talk about? Or maybe I didn't talk in depth about something. Let me know. I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you again soon, inshallah. God willing, I will see you. There will be more videos. TazzyPhe out. Bye. Oh, let me know how you like my mushroom cup. I have a green one too. I actually bought it as a gift for somebody. And then I went back and I was like, I kind of want them too. So then I went back and got it. Cottagecore is not my aesthetic, but if it's a mushroom cup, call me cottagecore lady. I'm a rapper. Bye guys. TazzyPhe out. Bye.